I'm with Todd Bennett here in Cornwall, Ontario. Todd, you're running for council. It's going to be your second time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, the first time you weren't that lucky.
No.
It was a learning experience. It was
was.
your very first time. And what did you take from that experience? What do you think is going to benefit you the most this time around?
The people that I met was a big plus. There's some good people in the city doing some good things. The one thing I learned since that election by being a member of some committees of council is how long it takes to get something done. It used to be in business, you have an idea, you implement it, and let's go. But what I found here is that it's, here's the idea, maybe we may need a consultant, administration has to do a report on it, it goes back to a committee of council, and then it goes to council. It can take months. So.
Well, yeah, you were on the Arts and Culture Committee that sort of really didn't go anywhere this term. It's been, what, 3 years now?
It's this. Well, we've met for 2 full years. The first year was mostly, we're brand new. Mm-hmm. So we had nothing to lean on. We had to kind of learn as we went. So what we've done from there, though, in the last 6 or 8 months, we've done probably more than we've done in the whole first year and a bit. We were able to meet with some people, Christine Tremblay, for instance, who got the Shakeman Centre up and running in Ottawa. She came down and gave us a good blueprint, a gift, if anything else, the steps they took. In her opinion, we were years ahead of where they were when they started, so that was great to hear. We're making arrangements to go see some other arts centres, because that's what we're focusing on now. What the goal is now is, let's get this city an arts centre that it deserves.
Are you still the chair of that committee?
I am the chair of that committee, yeah.
So what do you bring to the arts community here in Cornwall, and what's your vision for this project?
The vision so far for this project really is to get to the end goal, which is the Arts Centre. There's lots of great things going on in the city, arts and culture wise, but it's kind of spread out and it's not very organized, but it's been getting more and more, it's coming together.
Is there anything in particular you want to shine some love on while we're chatting on camera?
As far as arts and culture goes?
Yeah.
Really, I think there's some organizations that really need some props, and that's Focus Art is a wonderful organization. Centre Culturel is another wonderful organization who, if you wanted to take a model of an arts centre, to me, they do a really good job on a smaller scale. So there's things we can learn there. There's 2 good organizations. There's many artists that are fairly prominent that are getting on board with this. So I'm thinking the goal of an arts centre may only be 2-3 years away.
Now, you talked about consultants just a second ago. A lot of people feel that people that are running for office, for councillor, mayor, or whatever, are running for leadership, as opposed to just flipping out consultant money. What's your opinion on that and take on that, and are you offering leadership?
I think I am. The thing what I've learned about consultants, obviously you don't need them in every instance, but in a lot of instances, if you're looking for partnerships with federal governments, provincial governments, they require consultant reports. So a lot of times your hands are kind of tied. So I'm sure there are instances when maybe we have consultants not necessary, but it would be hard for me to comment on that, not being a part of the process where they've been used in every instance. But I do know in some cases they're necessary.
Now, this term we've had a number of really weird instances and negative instances. We've had conflict of interest charges against the mayor. We have the chemical tank issue right now, which is really hot. Litigation monies, I think 5 senior management that were chased out of their positions. What do you think are the key issues that the city's facing and an elected official's facing for the next term that's coming up?
Well, for me, the next term, going forward, these closed-door meetings, I don't think enough information come out of those meetings, in my opinion. And again, I wasn't part of the process, so I can only go on what you hear from the bits and pieces. But there's things like dollars that were spent that didn't have to be held confidential. Really, the only thing that had to be confidential is the names of the people involved, and that kind of thing. So I think a little more information coming forward would be necessary.
Now, you talked about some of that stuff. You're one of the only people that ran for office that wasn't elected that I've actually seen at council meetings over the past year. What pushed you to keep going meeting after meeting to city council?
I always say when I'm at a council meeting, I can look at the people that aren't on camera. Where when you're watching it at home, you're only seeing the person that's speaking. I kind of like to see how people are reacting to what's being said, getting a read for how people work in those kinds of situations. And I just feel I get more out of it by being there live. The ones I don't go to, I watch at home. It's just not the same thing. It's hard to explain. It just feels like I'm getting more out of it if I'm actually there in person.
So, from watching as many council meetings as you have, who would you say would be the 3 best performing elected officials this year from council?
Oh, there's a trick question I've never thought of. I kind of like the way Maurice Dupel's come on lately. He's really, it seems to me, he's found his legs. Other than that, it's hard to say. I say Maurice just because I've just seen a notice of change in him.
Yeah, he's really upped his game.
I think so too, and I like Maurice as a good man.
And I think it took him 3 or 4 tries to get elected.
It did. I've learned a lesson from him as well.
Yeah. Determination and hard work never hurt.
Hard work is special.
Yeah. So what are your plans for this campaign? How are you going to do, what do you think it's going to take for you to get elected?
Well, I remember in the last election campaign when we were talking what kind of a role social media would play, and it kind of played a small role. I think this time around it's going to be a very key factor. And I think I have to get out a little more, meeting more people, knocking on some doors. I did a lot of that last year, but I only got started in late September last year, or last term I should say, so I want to start doing that a little earlier as well.
To be fair, social media actually played a fairly large role in the last election. CFN helped get Pat Finnerty 1,000 votes. The people we worked with had a tremendous, even Jason Setnick had over 2,500 votes. And
yeah,
it was pretty surprising.
Yeah, I didn't mean to
no offense
affect that. I'm just thinking that this time around, it just seems like everybody's on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be maybe double what the effectiveness it had in the last in 2010.
Chemical tanks on the waterfront, hot issue right now. Where do you stand on that?
Got to get out of there. We were kind of, most people in the public were caught off guard by that. And it's kind of frustrating because I do know the city has had talks with Transport Canada in acquiring all that land. There's issues with the contamination and there's issues with the land claims that are on it. And I understand that that's a big reason why we didn't take the land when it was offered to us at dirt cheap prices. But they knew what our intentions were. So to go ahead and do what they did, I don't understand it. I'm hoping we get some clarification on January 14th.
Transport Canada has given CFN a letter, which we published, stating that the city knew as of February 2013, with the plans delivered to them in April or June of 2013. If you were on council and found that out, and found out in December of 2013 that you hadn't been notified for whatever reason, how would you feel as a councillor?
Well, I mean, it would be very frustrating, obviously. The only thing, from information I'm trying to get, and talking with Chuck Charlebois, who's been wonderful through this, we're not sure exactly how much information was actually passed on. I know what Transport Canada is saying, and we have people at the city saying kind of almost the opposite. And I'm thinking more of that will come out after January 14th. But right now, I'm loving the way Chuck Charlebois is handling this. He's going about the right way. Let's not get too excited. Let's be diplomatic about it. And if that doesn't work, then we'll ramp up the game, which I think is an effective way to do it. So
going back to the old number 3 again, what are your 3 main issues moving forward? What is it that you really want to focus on if you get elected to make Cornwall a better place?
Well, number 1, economic development would be the number 1. And how you do that would be 2 and 3 for me, which is waterfront development and arts and culture development. I think if we continue to do good things for the waterfront, there's some nice things coming in the summer in the park as well, additions. And if we can get the arts and culture up and running and more focused and an arts center built, what we're going to do is we're going to create a place where more people want to come and visit us. And then an employer who's looking to invest in a city is going to come here and say, okay, this is a great place to do business. What are my employees going to do when they're not working? And if we have an active arts and culture sector, we have an active sporting community, and we have a beautiful waterfront with lots of festivals, why would you not want to come here? So I think all 3 of those, arts, economic development number 1, and 2 and 3 is how you build towards that.
What about small business in Cornwall?
Well, yeah, small business clearly, I mean,
you work for a firm that started out as a small business in Cornwall, and look what happened to them.
We started off as a 300 square foot store almost 30 years ago, and now 14 strong, and now this summer moving to Southern Ontario, hoping to do 4 or 5 stores there and work our way towards Toronto. So yeah, you can see how it's done. A lot of hard work, and you have to create an atmosphere, and you have to create a place where people want to come and invest as a small business person, because small businesses, while they are the main body of anybody's economy, it's also the toughest one. Once you get past your second year, you're usually good to go. But
well, for example, CFN, which is now the largest newspaper in the city with over 60,000 visitors a month, is about to celebrate its 5th anniversary in February. Yet the city has led a boycott now for 2 years against us, even though we're still supplying them more traffic than the people they're paying from old archived ads. And they've even admitted to spending more money on legal bills monitoring us in 2012 than they did advertising with us in 2011. If elected, would you support the continuation of that boycott? Does it make any sense to you?
No, I don't think boycotts do any good. If anything, I think it's just fueling the person, or in your case, you. It's just fueling. It's not doing anything. It's not creating any warm feelings.
Well, CFN isn't one person. Like, for instance, we couldn't go forward with our plans to have our own online and television station because Cornwall should have its own daily newscast locally, and it's held back us from hiring. And again, it sends messages to small businesses that if you step out of line for even the most minimal thing, the mayor and the council and the city are going to step on your business.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I can comment too much on it.
No, I
really don't know the
We're
process.
putting you on the spot, so this is a good test for being a politician.
The process that went into that actually happening, I wasn't really involved in. I got as much information as anybody else reading the papers or listening to the radio. But on a personal note, you're going to be talked about one way or the other, good or bad. Just let it be. When you sent me an email to get together, your statement was, "Are you really not going to talk to number one media?" And I was thinking, I had no intention of not talking to you. It just yesterday became a little bit of a mess. But I think.
Well, we've seen it. We saw it on other media. That's why, because normally people put out a press release.
So that's where I was going with. The boycott's really only created a little bit of mistrust between everybody. So. For that reason alone,
it's been very divisive in the community. We were looking back at all the old episodes of Seaway Radio, and the mayor was our first guest when we first opened, and all the different people in it. There's been so much. I mean, we've had former clients that were told that if they didn't stop advertising with us, that they'd lose their permit. They wouldn't be given a permit for something they wanted to expend on their business. So, it's we have such a great community, and there's so many great people here. When we allow this kind of divisive behavior at the top levels, it trickles down, and it's hard for small businesses to grow and build and stuff. So,
well, let me tell you what I think. Right now we have less than 50% voter turnout, and yet everybody wants change.
Yeah.
Well, if those same 48% people come out to vote, you're not going to get change.
Right.
So if we want change, then the other 52% need to get off the couch and come out and vote, because
and
that's
you're
the way
right.
Change is going to happen.
I had a very prominent business person here in Cornwall, I'm not going to out them, say that he's going to vote for the very first time in his life at the age of 32.
Wow.
And, that really humbled me that I was able to help him do that, because if he's passionate about voting, maybe he'll convince a friend or two to vote. And that's a challenge we all face, is how to improve voter turnout. Or you mentioned that now that your kids are voting age, it's actually getting a lot of people interested in politics.
Yep, I have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old who are both able to vote this time around. But their friends have been sending me messages of support since yesterday. And so it got me to thinking, if you get the younger vote out, these are the people that seem to think we need more change. Well, then you have to come out and vote. You just can't hope somebody else is going to do it for you.
And those ages, that's another big issue in Cornwall, which is youth retention. How do you keep your children from leaving Cornwall short of a baseball bat?
Yeah, you got to create opportunities for them.
Yeah.
So I know distribution centers get run down a lot because they're low-paying jobs. Well, the fact is, 70% of those jobs are not low-paying jobs. So, and there's engineers in there, there's millwrights working in there, and there's good jobs in there. So, any business we can get here is one.
But the vast majority, first of all, the distribution centers, like I think they were quoting the Benson outfit, where they have like 60 acres almost of facility, but only 300 jobs. So the total amount.
But they've got a new investment coming, so I'm not sure if, how much. I'm sure it has to increase employment a little bit. I'm not sure.
Right, but the majority of the distribution centers jobs, which are great. Yep. I mean, we want all we can get.
Any job.
But the thing is, the majority of those jobs are not career jobs. Like, you were very fortunate. You're probably one of the last generation where you started in a company and you've worked your way up now into management, which is amazing. I mean, it's something to be very, very proud of. But how many kids, like your kids, will they have an opportunity to join a Cornwall firm and get to where you are with the same firm?
I would like to think it's becoming more and more possible. I think if you look at what's starting to happen here with big box stores coming in. I mean, there was a knock against box stores going to ruin the small guy, but if you remember when Home Depot came here, it's going to shut down all the other. Well, they didn't shut them down.
Well, actually, we lost Snetzingers. We lost.
Well, I think that was
we lost a couple more.
Well, I mean, you're looking at the guys that were really worried, the Emars and Rona. They had to step up their game in different ways.
Yep.
Similar, the company I work for is a small company, and if the bigger chains wanted to crush us, they'd crush us.
Come on, plug them, because I love shopping at Farm Boy.
Yeah, well, but Farm Boy's done it right. We can't
You do.
compete that way. So what are we? We're customer service, and we're quality product. And let's not pretend we're anything else that we're not. So
I'll tell you something about
companies do
Farm
that.
Boy. Consistently, I go there for the experience of getting through the cash quick.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's ever said, "Oh, I was stuck in line at Farm Boy."
Yeah, very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. But it's about customer service, and I think.
And quality of product. You
Quality
guys
of
are
product,
good
but
product.
that was a decision where we're not going to be able to compete with the big guys if we're going to go head to head with a bag of potato chips at 99 cents. It's not going to happen.
No.
So I think any small business in this city, if they're worried about big box stores coming in, and what they need to do is, okay, well, what are we different at? What are we good at? And just focus on that. And then there's lots of communities. I'm from Belleville, and one of the biggest shopping centers between Montreal and Toronto is the Quinte Mall. You go downtown,
I've
there's
been
lots of
there.
things going on. It's a wonderful town. So they can survive together. Just don't be afraid of it.
Well, Brockville is a great lesson. And I mean, it's just down the road from us. It's half our population, 4 times our economy. They had a little hiccup where they brought in all those big superstores, and it devastated their downtown core, and then they had to find ways to balance it.
Yeah.
So I think the trick for us as we're going through this transition, like I've come out against the $3.5 million of corporate welfare we gave smart centers, because we could have taken those monies, and I know they're given out in grants and this and that, but it's still the same pocket at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You don't need an MBA to know that.
That's right.
If we'd created a fund for small business to match that corporate welfare, I'd feel better. And we're not, because most of that space in that mall is going to be parking.
I see where you're coming from on that. There's arguments on both sides, obviously,
For sure.
or it wouldn't be done.
But we never had the discussion. Council just quickly said, yeah, it was a backdoor deal where they just negotiated privately and said, we'll give you $3.5 million over X amount of years. And then, to insult the public by saying, well, we're only getting $60,000 now, but we're going to get more in taxes. Well, any development on that property would lead to more taxes, and certain developments that had less parking would lead to even higher taxes. And I think it's great that Smart Center's coming to Cornwall, but I don't think we needed to give them $3.5 million, nor do I think it's wrong that they asked for it.
I'm of the opinion that the biggest reason for that is the tremendous cost that went into having to rehabilitate that property. And so that drives the price up, and of land and all that stuff. So it's almost...
So you're saying you supported the $3.5 million?
I am, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, you're still getting more for that property in the years that it takes to work that grind out. So you're still getting a lot more for that property. You're creating employment. And who knows what else that's
But they were
gonna
coming to that property with or without the $3.5 million. That wasn't the deal breaker.
You could very well be right. I think what you wanted to do is you wanted to make sure the deal was done. Let's get it done. Let's get it moving, because other companies and retail want to come to this city, and like it or not, Walmart's property isn't just that building. There's going to be a small strip mall on the one end, so they're going to be attracting other people. So I can certainly see why people would be upset. I think that you have to look at it long term, and the way I would look at it is we're still getting more for that property than we're getting, and it's going to help attract more business. So there's two sides to that story, and you could make arguments one way or the other, but I would have supported that.
All right, and last comment to you. You've got 30 seconds to make your pitch to the voters of Cornwall and why they should vote for you in October.
Well, I would just tell them this. I'm a small business owner. I was a small business owner. I'm a manager of a store, and what I can tell you is what I've learned in my business career is you manage waste. The dollars coming in will take care of themselves, but you have to manage waste. And so going into a city council position, that's one thing I'll be focusing on is, are we doing everything we can to minimize waste? Because every dollar you save is a dollar you save. But to make a dollar, sometimes it costs you 50 cents. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So let's make sure we're spending the money the way we can spend it, and eliminate any possible waste.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.